Welcome to the Government News Brief for Wednesday, March 30, 2016. In the news, professionals may soon be able to ply their trade in European markets. Region 6 puts systems in place to avoid drug shortage and stronger systems to be put in place to tackle money laundering. These and other stories coming up. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. I am Azim Khan and this is the Government News Brief. Professionals in the arts, architects and attorneys will soon be able to ply their trade in the European markets. Here is how in this Glendon Greenwich report.
Guyana needs to take advantage of the global service industry. This is the view of Minister of Foreign Affairs, Carl Greenidge.
In fact, if you're going to survive into the future, you have to be able to compete in the area of services. You're not speaking of old-time services which are low-level or low-income services. You're speaking of a range of services that are knowledge-intensive, and that's really where we have to look. And so that aspect is one that has to be exploited.
The framework is being put in place where professional artists and other service providers such as attorneys can be endorsed by a Caribbean or Caribbean Forum of African, Caribbean and Pacific States CARIFORUM-wide certificate. This would provide them with easier access to the European market to take advantage of contracts to perform.
We have a tradition of street theater, masquerade, which also gives rise to interesting dimensions in the arts that can be exposed to others elsewhere and can bring in revenues and can take advantage of a market, a high-income market. So in the impact of South African theatre in the British market, for example, shouldn't be underestimated.
This move by the government to pursue the European market comes in light of the findings of a USAID study that was conducted to discover future opportunities which Guyana can exploit. For this Government News Brief, I am Glendon Greenidge.
The Region 6 Health Department is taking steps to ensure hospitals in the region have adequate drugs and medical supplies. Here are the details.
Director of the Berbice Regional Health Services, Javon Stevens, says drug shortages at the hospital would be a thing of the past. In an interview with the Government Information Agency, Stevens explained that following consultations between the Ministry of Public Health and the Materials Management Unit, a plan along with a schedule for the delivery of medical supplies was developed.
After some consultations and meetings with MMU and the Minister of Public Health, Dr. George Norton, MMU has now derived a plan and a schedule attached to that plan to ensure that once our crews are sent on time, we will receive our drugs on time. There's now a monthly schedule stating that the first Tuesday of every month.
A shortage of medical supplies in November and December last year pushed the need for a system that would ensure the hospitals do not run out of drugs and supplies.
There was a chronic shortage late November into December, whereas we weren't receiving our drugs and supplies based on our requests. We were sent our crews to MMU 6 weeks in advance, but there was a delay in these drugs being delivered to the region. We would have put systems in place to ensure that we send our own trucks to assist in getting it here faster, but it's always an issue with the packaging and the availability and those kind of things.
Stevens also noted that the region was requesting medication based on consumption, but was only receiving about half of the amount that was requested, which was contributing to the shortage. In addition to having supplies delivered in a timely manner, the Health Services Department plans to request drugs on a quarterly basis instead of monthly. They're also looking at expanding the drug bond at the Berbice Regional Health Services so that more drugs can be stored. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Public Health would be undertaking a new procurement system for medical supplies, where each region will receive a budgetary allocation to procure some drugs and supplies for the region. For other drugs and supplies, each region would return an agreed sum to the ministry along with a requisition list. The ministry would then collate the items requested by each region and use the returned allocations to do bulk purchasing of the item. For this Government News Brief, Shivani Rampaswad reporting.
Can phone cards and mobile money be used in money laundering and financing of terrorism? Find out in this report.
The World Bank, in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance, held a 2 days money laundering and financing of terrorism national risk assessment training workshop at the Princess Hotel yesterday. The workshop is to examine the use of mobile money and phone cards as forms of money laundering in Guyana, as well as challenges in Guyana's unique cash-based economy. World Bank's senior financial sector specialist, Stuart Yekona, explained the role of the World Bank.
Our role is basically to introduce over the coming days the tool, the method that you'll be using to carry out and conduct your risk assessment. We will, as much as possible, seek to ensure that the documents, the materials that were shared with you are friendly, they are understandable, that you appreciate the method that you'll be using over the coming months.
Stuart Yekona further explained that the World Bank will help Guyana make effective decisions.
It is not to second guess your conclusions, but rather to ensure that the conclusions that you reach are reasonable, justifiable, and that you are able to defend them before the international community.
Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Basil Williams, in his address, encouraged stakeholders to join the fight against money laundering and financing of terrorism crimes.
It is important that all stakeholders get on board, as has been done with the compilation of the working group. Each stakeholder plays an integral role in exposing threats and vulnerabilities and their consequences.
The World Bank will help Guyana to focus on the type of actions needed to address the use of mobile money and phone cards and threats faced to eradicate money laundering and terrorism. Renetta Lafleur, Government News Brief.
Efforts to develop a strong business community are moving beyond just courting investors, as we hear in this report.
Development of local business environment must be done in a sustainable manner. This is the view of the Minister of Business, Dominic Gaskin. He made this position known at the opening of the first ever Business Exposition and Trade Fair in Region 5.
Guyana will have to prepare itself before any transformation can happen. And this is what our government is currently doing. Improving the business environment so that companies operating in Guyana can do so more efficiently and securely and successfully.
Gaskin says the government will ensure Guyana's economy becomes and remains a competitive one.
But we are going beyond just seeking investments and economic growth. Guyana's development must be sustainable, and our economy must be a green economy. Guyana is blessed with an abundance of natural resources. We are an extremely wealthy country, and our responsibility as a government is to ensure that this wealth is responsibly managed and is exploited for the benefit of all Guyanese.
The minister congratulated the Region 5 Chamber of Commerce and other organizers of the expo. He says the event provides an opportunity to showcase the region's potential to produce and to organize business. For the Government News Brief, I am Sheba Thomas.
Guyanese products and service will reach a wider customer range. More on how this will be achieved in this report.
The large influx of visitors expected for the Golden Jubilee Independence Festival will give Guyanese manufacturers and service providers the opportunity to display their products and services, according to Bobby Vera, chairperson for the Golden Jubilee Festival.
We'll be featuring a number of art and craft. We have a lot of talented artists, and designers who will be able to bring their materials that they've designed, bring their art that they have produced.
These include handmade local necklaces and bracelets, paintings, food, crafts products, and hospitality services.
We will also urge artists and craftsmen and food vendors and everyone to contact the Ministry of Tourism, come in early enough, register, because booth space is limited and you don't want to come and discover at the last minute that you were not able to get a booth or establish a booth.
The 50th Jubilee Independence Festival will be hosted at the Guyana National Stadium. It starts on May 19 and ends on May 22. This publicity will encourage investments and create financial benefits for craft persons and artisans. Shanazla reporting for this Government News Brief.
This has been another edition of the Government News Brief. You can find the details of these and other stories on GINA's website. We encourage you to subscribe to our website and YouTube channel. You can also like us on Facebook so you can be informed as the news unfolds. Join us again tomorrow, March 31, 2016 for another edition of the Government News Brief. Thank you for watching.